Tyrese Maxey drops 29 points as the Washington Wizards lose to the Philadephia 76ers 109-103 in a very, very close matchup. But Jared Butler and Corey Kispert did step up, combining for a combined 49 points on the second unit. Come on, y'all. Let's talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. I'm here with my guy, AB. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Wizards daily newsletter, a one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage, delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And again, tonight was a close matchup between the Wiz Kids and the Sixers, both of them dealing with their fair share of injuries. No Embiid, no Paul George for the Sixers, and for the Wiz Kids, no Jordan Poole, no Alex Sarr, and the list is definitely mighty on both sides. But Tyrese Maxey dropping 29 points, and Jared Butler and Corey Kispert step it up with a combined 49 points off the second unit. But the Wizards do lose this game nevertheless in the final seconds of the game. So, AB, how did the Wizards lose this game? Was it the 18 turnovers or the 27 points that the Sixers scored off of those turnovers? Or looking at the first unit, looking at the starting five, was it the lack of ball movement and the lack of players moving out the basketball?
Definitely, you could say a mixture of both. But I think this game, it's apparent that every game the Wizards do have more turnovers than the opposing team. But offensively, the no ball movement, it's a problem that we've seen throughout the year. And again, when you don't have JP, it does create a hole in your offense. Again, it was nice to see Jared Butler, Corey Kispert combined for 49 points. But at the end of the day, there's no fluidity in this offense. And especially as a young team, there's going to be mistakes. I agree. But you just can't play ISO ball in today's NBA, bro. It rarely works, especially when we don't have those superstar guys on our team,
No, I agree. And like I said, I believe in a balanced offense, AB. I think that ball movement, team basketball should be definitely what you build your offense on. But there's times where ISO basketball does work. This is a different NBA now, obviously. It's more of a perimeter-driven league, but it's also a league where team basketball is more prioritized now. The days, when I was growing up, it was more ISO ball. You just definitely, you saw players like Jordan one-on-one matchups all the time. It wasn't until they instilled the triangle offense with the Bulls where they found team success as opposed to individual success with Michael Jordan. And then the list goes on with other players. There are examples, Kobe Bryant, the list goes on. ISO basketball works when it calls for it. Looking at this first unit, I expected Kyle Kuzma to be very aggressive tonight. Jordan Poole's out, Alex Sarr is out, so he definitely needed to step it up and be that scoring punch for us. And he did contribute 16 points, 5 rebounds. Now, was he inefficient? Yes. 7 for 19 for the field, 2 for 8 from 3. But I do believe he was trying to be aggressive. And, there's times where I do get on him about being inefficient, but I believe that tonight he had to be aggressive. So inefficient, yes, but he had to be aggressive because he was the lone guy in the starting five that really chipped in. Jonas Valanciunas, 14 points, 14 rebounds. He continues to be a key contributor, whether it's starting or coming off the bench. JV continues to play good basketball in the DMV, man. And that's what I'm saying. Jonas Valanciunas, we're in a good position with him. You could definitely get some value in return on the trade market, but he's a guy who, looking at him from a mentorship standpoint, has pushed Alex Sarr. From a production standpoint, he has produced when called upon. So, but not tonight, outside of the 29 points by Tyrese Maxey, he obviously, shined overall. But looking at the Wiz Kids, to me, the second unit shine. Jared Butler tonight. I don't know what was in his Gatorade tonight, man, but brother man was playing high-level basketball at AB. 26 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 11 for 19 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3, 1 for 2 from the charity strike, 1 steal, and he stayed at the Holiday Inn Express that night. He did it all, man. He did it all. And all y'all old school heads know what I'm talking about with the Holiday Express commercial, man. But looking at, like I said, Jared Butler is a guy where, just like Justin Champagnie, a testament to the Cap City Go-Go. These guys need to stick around. This is development at its finest. We developed these two guys, and they are key contributors for this team. You're going to deal with injuries. You're going to deal with illnesses. We know that there's a new strain of flu or COVID-19 going through the DMV, and it seems it's steadily going through the team right now because Bilal was down with an illness, and now you have Alex Sarr and you have Johnny Davis both down with an illness. So, like I said, a lot of people getting hit in the DMV AB. But Kispert, come on now. We've been waiting on Kispert to come up and show some consistency, and he's doing so. Second great game for my guy, Corey Kispert. He did his thing tonight, AB. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 for 14 for the field, and 4 for 8 from 3, 3 from 3 for the charity sack, and a steal. I mean, the second unit shine. It was Jared Butler and it was Corey Kispert who kept the Wizards in this game. Now, one stat to look at, 8 turnovers by Jonas Valanciunas. So not the best stat for Jonas Valanciunas. And like I said, 14 points, 14 rebounds, I'll take it, but definitely got to bring those turnovers down, especially at the position, man, because you don't expect centers to be dropping those type of numbers with turnovers. So, yeah, I'm with you, AB. I mean, you know, looking at the starting five, I'll say this, AB. I kind of noticed this, man, looking at the starting, I said, I feel like I said it 5 times, starting 5. The lack of ball movement. Very often than not, and a few people kind of made this comment during the broadcast watching the game, and usually you have 4 guys on the perimeter and 1 guy in the paint. There's no ball movement. There's no moving without the basketball. And I'm asking this question: is that a skill that is steadily going to, we're going to lose in the NBA, or and we need to gain back, moving without the basketball? Because AB, real quick about before I get your take, man, when I was coming up, players like Ray Allen, one of the best shooters play the game, he was synonymous with moving without the basketball. And I think that's a skill that is, steadily we're losing in the NBA and is not being taught at the smallest levels, especially at AAU. So, I mean, what do you think about the Wizards' total lack of ball movement, man?
Again, it's just difficult because you don't have that guy where it's like, okay, you don't have a James Harden and Kobe where like, all right, go right there and get a bucket. Obviously, Jared Butler and Corey Kispert did their thing tonight. But at the end of the day, the lack of down screens, ball screens, cutting, V-cutting, it's all ingrained in me. When you play basketball growing up, the 5 out, the triangle, these all different types of offenses, they work for a reason schematically. And again, all these guys are professional basketball players. They can get a bucket when they want to. But if you really want to win that game, and this is just not even just now, in the future, because the team's young right now, you got to be able to make that cut, the small things that really add up for you to win a game. And those wins total up, and then eventually makes you a championship contender. I mean, if you look at the championship contending teams right now, if you really look at how they move without the ball, it's like poetry.
No, it's straight up. I mean, I agree 100%. Ball movement has to be fluid. It has to be the first thing. Team basketball has to be the first concept. The first, you know what I mean? Like, looking at the stat line, I mean, again, looking at Kyle Kuzma, you expected him to be aggressive. But then at what point does inefficiency hurt? I mean, if you look at 19 attempts, I mean, after that, you had Valanciunas, he definitely chipped in 14 points, 14 rebounds. But then after that, you look at Keyshawn George, 1 for 6. You look at Bilal Coulibaly, 2 for 8. He did hit that nice midi to put us up by 2. But Bub Carrington, 4 for 10. So, I mean, at what point does inefficiency hurt trying to get these young guys involved? And that's the biggest conundrum when it comes to Kyle Kuzma, is that we all recognize he's a good scorer. He's a guy who you can definitely put him in there for 20 plus a night. I mean, he's a guy who could definitely score. He uses his size well, but then, there's a lot of things that are kind of highlighted now. The inefficiency does hurt. It hurts. It really does. It takes is a detriment to this team at times, AB. And then, you add in, the layups missing. Like I said, he was aggressive, but still, 7 for 19, you pretty much took the starting 5 out of the game, in my humble opinion. I mean, because after Valanciunas, and really at this stage of Valanciunas' career, can we depend on him being a second option? Nah. I mean, we need, Kyle Kuzma has to find ways to, yes, use your body, use your scoring prowess to create opportunities for others, man. I felt like tonight was a game where I wanted to see him kind of collapse the defense, drive a lot more. I mean, he was driving, he definitely uses that 5 pounds muscle to his advantage, driving and being aggressive. But I feel like this is a game where Keyshawn George, Biku, and Carrington, they could have stepped up. I mean, and it's not really on them, in my opinion. Yeah, they shouldn't have missed shots. Yeah, but I think that there was opportunities for them to be more focal points in his offense. He should, in my opinion, they should have found ways to get them more involved, man. Because Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, and Bilal Coulibaly were all practically non-effective in this game. I mean, when you look at the fact of the matter is that the second unit kept us in this game. Corey Kispert and Jared Butler kept us in this game. And then getting back to my question with you is that I'm going to bring up a comment real quick. This is from Bullets Nation. It says also Wiz Twitter is in the uproar over the one play where JV is taking on all 5 Sixers defenders while Kuzma, Corey, and Bilal are behind the 3-point line standing and staring. And this goes back to the issue in the NBA, this 3-point extravaganza, is that players are sitting back behind the 3-point line and they're refusing to move without the basketball. They're refusing to drive or slash. I mean, more so slash and drive because without the basketball, but you're not seeing any slashing. You see no movement without the basketball, and you see 3-4 guys are sitting there behind the 3-point line just waiting. And that's what the NBA game has become, man. It's where you have a center who takes the pick and roll, pick and pop at the top. And chances are, they're either going to hand it off to a shooter or, it's the same play every time. And there's no ball movement. There's nobody moving out the basketball. It's 4 guys watching. And I saw that play, and I'm like, what are we doing? I'm sitting here yelling. My wife's like, oh, you good? I'm like, no, I'm not good. Yeah, what's up?
Especially at night where there's no Joel Embiid, no Paul George, 2 of their best defenders. You got to be aggressive and go to the paint. There's no excuses.
No excuses, AB. No excuses at all. You have to move without the basketball. That is a skill that is evaporating for the NBA, and it's a skill that we need to start teaching at the lower level, especially AAU, high school, college. Because, again, that goes back to a point that, this is obviously a different subject for a different day, but the rest of the world is catching up, if not have passed us as far as our skill at basketball. The American basketball player is not the top basketball player in the world anymore. And this is because of the three-point extravaganza. It's so, I get it. It's a three-point shooters league now. But we have come to the point where people are just sitting back there waiting to shoot the three-pointer. Move it out the basketball. When I coached, because I coached, AAU, I coached at, lower level, all the way down to like 7 years old. And the one of the first things I teach kids, man, is that moving out the ball. Move. Don't stand there. Watch. Move. Constantly move. Especially for shooters, man. Because like I said, when I was coming up, Reggie Miller moved out the basketball. He put himself in the best position to get that shot. Ray Allen, when he was with Miami, even though we remember him with the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sonics, but that one iconic shot he won, he shot in the NBA Finals. I believe it was against the San Antonio Spurs. He moved out the basketball and found the right spot, and boom, shakalaka, he hit the shot. So we've got to move without the ball. This whole standing around watching, it showed tonight. The starting 5 looked like crap, and like I said, Kuz was aggressive. I expected that, but he's got to find ways, man, to, there's times where efficiency is usually the first casualty of aggressiveness. We saw that with players like MJ and Kobe. When you're an aggressive player, it usually is at the detriment of efficiency. But you got to find ways to get other people involved, man. You got to get Be Cool involved. Let's be real. Before we move on, I'm going to say this, AB. Be Cool and Keyshawn George are totally different players when Kuz is on the court. Like I said, it is what it is. I think that Kuz is a good player. I think that but he's got to find ways to get other people involved, man. And they are different players. Keyshawn George is a different player. Bub Carrington is a different player. Bilal's a different player. He's got to find ways. That comes along with being that number one option, being that leader, man, is that you have to find ways to get other people involved. So that's where I'm at, man. So again, guys, Tyrese Maxey dropping 29 points tonight, but it was the second unit to shine for the Washington Wizards in a 109-103 loss in the city of brotherly love, and there wasn't no love tonight. The Sixers were getting booed tonight, so it is what it is. So we're gonna get into who stays and who goes when you look at the center rotation, because we are getting closer to the trade deadline. But before we get into that, tonight's episode is brought to you by Ultimate General Manager. I want to take a moment to introduce you to a brand new mobile game that I'm really excited about. Ultimate College Basketball Head Coach. If you ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance to step up in those shoes. In Ultimate College Basketball Head Coach, you control every detail of your program, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals, and managing scholarships. It's all in your hands. And when it comes to game time, you get to draw up offensive plays and set your strategy, which is the part that I really, really like. The nerd in me is definitely smiling the inside. The way you play won't just affect the current season. It will shape the future of your school's basketball program. It's a game that lets you feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. Here's a special offer for Locked On NBA listeners. Use promo code Locked On CBB for college basketball, all caps, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's a perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. To download the Ultimate College Basketball Head Coach, just visit ultimate/cbb.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Basketball Head Coach. Begin your coaching legacy today. Do not wait. All right, AB, let's get into it, man. So, as I already mentioned, man, we are getting closer to early February, which is the trade deadline. And looking at the center situation, man, lot of pieces, a lot of depth, but that is definitely subject to change. So we're going to take a look at all the centers and pretty much tell me, do you believe they're going to stay, go, or what their future, fit is on his team? So let's start with Jonas Valanciunas. Jonas, a guy who, again, has produced, has played good basketball. Definitely a trade candidate when you look at his contract, you look at his playing ability, matches well with teams like the Los Angeles Lakers. But he's made it known that he does enjoy it here in DC. He enjoys, and he definitely has bought into what they're doing here. I think there's definitely good words are here, but I think he's definitely a guy who's going to be shopped. So what do you see? Do you see him being moved, or do you see a scenario where he could be on the team past the deadline?
I definitely think with the consistency, it's huge, double-double basically every night, and a team where obviously he's not winning. A veteran like him obviously wants to win, so it's great to see that he's still a good sportsman. And I do see more of a possibility of him getting moved rather than staying. I just feel like at this guy with his age and his veteran experience, he just wants to win a ring. And I think going to LA, maybe them finding that center in Valanciunas will put him over the hump in that stacked Western Conference. So I appreciate JV, big part of Alex Sarr's development here, mentorship and all, and just him coming here on a nice deal. Shout out to Will Dawkins for that. But could we see him stay? I wouldn't be absolutely shocked because, again, you mentioned that he likes being here. But at the end of the day, the NBA is a business, and it all goes back to the Wizards' timeline and how they want these young guys here and eventually be contending in the future.
Oh, amen. I agree 100%. Looking at Jonas Valanciunas, would I be surprised if you say nah? But I think that you definitely move on from him and get some value. He's a guy who definitely wants that ring in the later stages of his career. He's produced. Now, looking at the contract, yes, it's a very team-friendly contract, but you also have to ask this question. At what point does he start to decline? Because he's just not the same Jonas Valanciunas from Memphis or Toronto or New Orleans. I mean, he's a guy who's definitely lost a step, but a guy who could definitely contribute. He's a guy who's very active in the paint, mid-range game, rebounding, the list goes on. But my thing is this: you need to free up minutes to see what you have in Tristan Vukcevic. We know Alex Sarr is a future at center position in DC, and could he slide to the 4 if we indeed want to add another center? Absolutely. Very versatile guy. But Alex Sarr is the future. Looking at Tristan Vukcevic, we have to see what we have in him. And Richaun Holmes, he's a guy who next year will be the last year of his contract. So, Richaun Holmes, he's a dog. He's a baller. He's a guy who, very hard-nosed, gets in there and hustles and fights in the paint. Definitely a high energy guy who I think can definitely be another guy who can rub off on these young guys. But if you don't move on from JV, you move on from Richaun Holmes. You need to move one of these vets because in my eyes, you have to see what you have in Tristan Vukcevic. And Marvin Bagley III is another guy where with the injuries and stuff like that, his trade value has probably went down just because of the injuries. But he's a guy where he 3-level scorer, when he's motivated, when he shows a high motor, very productive player. So, Marvin Bagley III is another guy where he played a 4, he played a 5. Maybe you see what you have in him. The timetable with him coming back, we'll see. But, because the injury bug has definitely made his way through this team, maybe. So, I think you definitely entertain deals for Jonas Valanciunas. So I already mentioned Richaun Holmes. I mean, is it kind of the same thing with Richaun Holmes? You see him as being a movable piece if we do not move on from JV?
Definitely. I think, again, you don't want to have too many centers on this roster. So Mahomes, oh my God. Holmes, I definitely could see him move on. I love his aggressiveness and his ability to run up and down the floor. And again, going back to JV and him, we lacked rebounding. Obviously, we're not the greatest team in rebounding this year, but again, just that fact that they factored in and helped out with that was a huge thing. I definitely see Holmes moving somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that between Valanciunas and Holmes, I think Valanciunas is the one who will be dealt. Now, Richaun Holmes, we know he's a hustle guy, but next year will be the last year of his contract, so maybe he's a guy who could be flipped in the offseason because he will be an expiring contract. But like I said, in the second half of the season, once we move on from Jonas Valanciunas, and like I said, shout out to Jonas Valanciunas. Like I said, a very funny guy, man. I was able to kind of ask him a few questions the media day. Very funny guy, really easy guy to like. A guy who, if he was younger, if this was a playoff team, I would love him to stay. If this was a playoff team at his age now, I would love him to stay. But here's the thing: we are in a rebuild, and you've got to. I envision them kind of splitting time between Richaun Holmes and Tristan Vukcevic after the trade deadline because you have to see what you have in Tristan Vukcevic. He deserves a look because I think the Capital City Go-Go has done a good job getting these guys ready. Obviously they're giving Tristan Vukcevic an extended look to see if he's ready to take an extended, position with the Washington Wizards. So, like, so you have to see what you have in him. And Marvin Bagley III is a guy where I like Bags, man. I want to see what he can do, and maybe he could be a piece long term because I think he's found a good place here in DC. He's found the right situation to help him become a better player because he's still young. So I'm with you on that. So,
one question. I don't know if this is off topic. For you brought the G League, the Go-Go. Do you ever? And I'm not saying it should happen. Do you think a possibility where they send Keyshawn George out there to the G League if it's consistently not that much usage? Because again, we saw it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, or no, it was yesterday. Reed Shepard was sent to the G League and people overreacted, but he had like 49 freaking points. So again, if you're the Wizards, you're Brian Keefe, do you consider putting him at the go-go?
It depends on the situation. It really depends on what happens at the deadline. You know, if we retain Kuz, if we retain Brogdon, then maybe you entertain just for him to get those starting minutes in the go-go, just for him to get himself into a rhythm. Maybe you consider that, because I think Houston with Cam Whitmore, he's a guy who's been down in the G League for the Houston Rockets. Same thing with Reed Shepard. He dropped the 49 piece his first G League game. So Houston has a good problem. They have a couple guys who could be key contributors in the future. They just have so much depth of young talent there. So I definitely see them as a very active team. But getting back to the Wizards, man, you know, I think you get to a certain point, depending on certain moves or lack of moves, maybe you get entertaining, because you got to bring the confidence back up with Keyshawn George, and you have to help him get back in that rhythm. And I think that the Kansas City go, if indeed they retain Kyle Kuzma and, you know, maybe even Malcolm Brogdon at the deadline, because there's a very real chance they do. He's hurt again. You know, you could see a scenario where Jonas Valanciunas probably be the only guy that gets moved, because injuries have had such an immense toll on this team. And when you look at players like, you know, Kyle Kuzma and Malcolm Brogdon, who have dealt with a fair share of injuries, they haven't had the opportunity to really showcase what they can do. It's been very limited. And when you feel like they both have really picked up the rhythm again, they get hurt. So it's been the injury bug has really taken a hit on the strategy at the trade deadline for the Washington Wizards. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward, AP. But, man, really good question, man. Really good question. It really makes you think. So, all right, everybody, we're going to get into comments tonight. So we're going to kick this night off right. But before we do, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. I love going to live events. I love it so much. I go all the time, baby. Whether it's sports tickets, music events, theater shows, or comedy events. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year. It was 50 Cent and Busta Rhymes. I'm an old school hip hop head, and I got to see my guy Busta Rhymes do his entire catalog. So don't tell me that ain't special. Come on now. Now, Gametime has made it easier to get tickets to your favorite events with a new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And again, it's not just sports tickets, right? Music shows, theater events, comedy shows, everything. They offer everything for everybody. So look, do yourself a favor, guys. Take the guesswork of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app and create an account and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. And for my military folk, Lima, Oscar, Charlie, Kilo, Echo, Delta, Oscar, November, Bravo, Alpha for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime, baby. All right, everybody. For everybody's not military, they're like, oh my
God.
Lord.
You like, I was lost for about 10 seconds there.
It's all good, man. So definitely appreciate y'all rocking with us tonight, man. So let's get into the comments. And as we all know, who kicks it off? My guy, Locked on Law. He says, Kuzma missing layups. Some things never change. Y'all hard on Kuz, man. Let's see. Locked on Desperate for a Win. I like it. He's having issues with the threes too, evidently. He's, like I said, he's aggressive. And that's the one key part of Kuzma's game that I'd like. He's an aggressive player. He's got that scoring mentality. But again, when you look at aggressive scores, usually inefficiency happens, man, because there's so many shot attempts. But with him being that number one option, with him being that guy, man, especially with JP out, Alex Sarr out, so many people out, you got to find ways to get other people involved. I mean, the starting five to a certain degree was a detriment to this team tonight. I mean, the three young guys, Bub, Keyshawn, and Bilal, were practically out of the game. And Kuz, very aggressive, definitely, kept us in the game to a certain degree outside the second unit, but the inefficiency hurt. And Jonas Valanciunas, the 8 turnovers killed us. To me, it was the second unit. It was Jared Butler and Corey Kispert who kept us in this game and kept us in position to win this game. So I'm with him, man. Bullets Nation says Sixers broadcast said Kuzma was arguing with Sarr yesterday and before the game. Kuzma is supposed to be the team leader, but his play and attitude is horrible. Not good for the young guys to be around. You know what? I mean, you see, you don't know everything that happens, especially behind the scenes, man, especially when you look at locker room stuff. Even for a guy like myself, who holds media credentials, there's only so much you could really see behind the scenes. You do see bad body language this season with Kuz. There's been times where he argued with young players, and when you look at other veteran players like Jordan Poole. He's taking more, he's taking more of an approach of, trying to work with these guys. So, I mean, it's like anything else in this world. It's kind of like the military and like anything else. Everybody learns different. Everybody responds differently. Some people you can yell at. In the military, when I was going in Army AP, you would get yelled at, man. Drill sergeants would put their hands on you. And as time went on by, it was different. It was a different approach people were taking. Now everybody's receptive to being yelled at. So it's one of those things where the young players, man, but the young players, they also know what's going on in the NBA. They also know what's going on with the organization. They know that his name has been synonymous with trade talks. And when you add in the bad ball language, when you add in so many other factors, could there be maybe an issue between the young guys and Kuzma? I'm not speculating. I'm not saying that is the case, but it's in front of the world to see. If you have the broadcast team from the 76ers talking about it, that tells you that people are seeing this bad ball language in these type of situations. And like I said, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to put something on Kuz that ain't there, but you also see these, the bad ball language again and these type of situations. So, I mean, what do you think, AB?
Yeah, definitely. I think again, where it's a thing with Kuz, like with every little thing he does, just doesn't make him look good because of where he's right now as a Wizard. Just again, like I get it. Like I'm playing sports a lot with my family. Like they'll yell at you, they'll scream at you, and some people are just not used to it, and just people react different. But again, when they're these young guys, they're still trying to get adaptable to the NBA and how it is. And Kuzma has experience in winning a ring, so just a little imbalance there that I think once Kuzma realizes that it's just they're on a whole different page and he wants to be out of here, it's just going to be a much more smooth transition for the young guys. And I'll keep emphasizing, I can't wait post-trade deadline of the Wizards. And even if it's not even just about winning at this point, it's just about development, the ball movement that what we lack of right now. And it's going to be huge in the second half.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, AB. Let's see. Bullets Nation also says, when players are just watching rather than cutting and trying to help, is that a coaching issue or a player issue? I mean, you see, from what I know and from what I've gathered just from talking and being around Brian Keefe, he's not a coach who's going to sit back and not say anything. He's a guy who's very vocal. He digs in these guys. I mean, they respect him for this reason alone, that, and there's many reasons they respect it, but the big reason is, he's a guy who definitely digs in these guys. You don't see that, you don't see that a lot with coaches when you watch the games. Weston Steele Jr. was a guy who a lot of people thought that he wasn't very vocal. And a lot of players told me, like, look, he digs into people behind the scenes. He was a guy that cusses people out. So, I mean, here's the question. What can Brian Keefe really say to a guy like Kuzma or Jordan? I'm not going to say Jordan Poole because I think Jordan Poole is bought in. But what do you really say to a guy who knows he's on his way out of here? I mean, what do you really say to that guy? I mean, and then getting back to the issue of cutting and everybody standing around. It's not just a Kuz issue. I mean, this is a team issue. I mean, 4 guys sitting on the perimeter and 1 guy sitting in the paint. I mean, what happened to basketball IQ? Like, what happened? And then this is what I'm talking about, AB. We're not teaching these kids at AAU and on up, or even in college anymore, how to play college or team basketball. They stand around waiting to shoot a 3-point shot. I mean, pick and pop is basically the only play they run. And it's hard to watch. So, I agree 100%. Bullets Nation. I agree 100%. Locker losses. No more excuses for these shooting percentages. Bilal, Keyshawn, Bub, and especially Kuzma all shooting under 35%. Trash. I mean, I think that Bilal, Keyshawn, and Bub struggling does have a lot to do with the amount of shot attempts by Kuz. And like I said, I understand what Kuz's strategy is, man. Staying aggressive. And like I said, aggressiveness usually leads to inefficiency. It happens with most aggressive players. So it's not just a Kuz problem, but still you have to find ways to get other people involved. Anti-social extrovert. I hope all is well with you too, man. Definitely hope all is well with you. How do we get Kispert more shots? Why is Be Cool offense MIA? The bench should be starting. They played great. I'm with you. I mean, the second unit shine tonight. He also says, why is Kuzma closing out the game? He no longer fits. Keyshawn George should get those minutes. Hashtag develop the youngins. Look, I'm gonna give it to you, AB, but I agree 100%, man.
No, definitely, man. When the ball was, I think they were down by 1 or was it 3? It was to tie the game, and it was going to Kuzma, and it went the backcourt and deflected. I just don't think you could go to Kuz in that situation. Again, you want to see what the young guys can do, and that's a great situation. Crunch time, regular season game. Why go to Kuz when essentially he's 1 foot out the door?
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I am with you on that. Let's see. Desan says, I love the comeback. Kuzma got away with a huge travel. I mean, yeah, he did, but there was travels on both sides. I mean, right before he traveled, there was a travel that was a missed call. So terrible officiating, in my humble opinion, man. Like I said, guys, we got about enough time, about 5 more comments. I hate missing anybody's comments, man. Locked on Desperate for a Win. B Scott AB. The Wizards are driving me to drink. I mean, whiskey helps, man, but if you drink every time they frustrate you, man, you don't want to mess around being an AA meeting, man. I'm just saying, like, you got to find a woosah meditation prayer helps. I mean, I'm with you on that, man. Let's see. My God, Dan Tico 84, how you doing tonight, man? It says keeping Butler, JC, and Bagley should be in our future. Had to find a way to retain those guys and find them in the future. I agree 100%. I love it. I love that take. I agree. Butler, JC, Bagley, all three guys that I would keep around long term because I think they have found the right spot for them to flourish. I think that they're guys that don't need to be starters, don't need to be stars, don't need to be guys that have the ball in their hands, but they contribute. They find ways to contribute. Let's see.
And they all fit the timeline as well. That's always that check.
They all fit the timeline. Exactly. So Nomadic Brian, my guy says, wow, Butler 26 and Kispert 23. Interesting. Very interesting. The son also says, I love Bilal, favorite player on the team, but when Kuzma and him play together, he looks like a completely different player. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying, AB. He looks like a different player. The confidence is lower. I think that you're going to see it, excuse me. You're going to see a different player in the second half, man. Especially when, once he is more of a featured piece in the offense. But like I said, he is definitely a different player when Kuzma's on the floor. DC Onion, my guy says, can Woodward to DC? Oh, man, one can only hope, man. But a lot of Rockets fans been giving me some feedback, man. They ain't giving up Cam Woodmore. And they said, what do we want? What would we want in return? Y'all need to stop playing, man. I mean, look, we got some guys you might not want. I mean, might want. Come on.
Maybe Kuzma.
I mean, look, Kuz would definitely fit just the right situation, man. Like I said, definitely appreciate him for his time here, man. But in my perspective, it's just time. It's not like Bill, where it's like, oh man, this dude out here laughing. I mean, even though the bad bodying, which they're very similar, but like I said, I think it is to a certain degree also different than when Bill was on his way out of here. Brando 72. Oh Lord, this is an interesting take. Bilal is overrated, will not be a star. I would say this. I do respect the take, and he's very, very raw, but I disagree. I think that his defense is also a level defense. And I think that once his offense, you see glimpses, you see potential with his offense, that once he figures it out, he's going to be a really good player. So I have to disagree with that. Like I said, I'd appreciate your take. Definitely appreciate you taking the time to watch, the rock with us and chop it up with us, man. But that take I can't agree with. I think that he does have star potential. Now, obviously, a lot of, I mean, a lot of the work is definitely on him, right, AB? I mean, he's definitely got to put the work in, but he's shown that he's willing to do that.
I was gonna say, Brando, let's see this comment a couple of weeks after the trade deadline and see how much of a difference not having some of these guys on the team and the usage for Bilal will be.
AB said, keep that energy, all right? Keep that energy. Dad T84 says, I'm so ready for the future and to see who we keep going forward. Absolutely. The progression is a must, and especially shooters moving without the ball. We create more shots and opportunities. And I agree, man. The movement without the basketball is alarming. And it's not just the Wizards, it's a league-wide issue. And it's so complacent now, man. Just wait on the perimeter and wait for, 3-point opportunity. And it's like, no, man. I mean, maybe bring back the triangle. I mean, to me, the triangle offense was, look, I'm an old head and people, I know young folk gonna get on me, man. But look, the triangle offense was an offense that enabled people it was a team basketball offense, man, where, it just everybody eats type of mentality. So, they got to get back to high basketball IQ, really getting these kids ready for team basketball and not just shooting logo threes and dunking the basketball and showcase themselves. This is a team sport for a reason. So, Bex Tech. How you doing, man? He says, this is what pisses me off about rebuilding. Being good enough to catch up, but not good enough to win. Valid point, man. Rebuilds suck. All right. And AG, this is gonna be the last one. AB, AG. There you go. Keep everybody but Kuzma until next year. Then see what we have. Trade Kuzma to the Kings. The Kings are an interesting spot, man, because they're starting to play good basketball again. So we'll see. Mike Brown, I still don't agree with that move, but they could use a guy like Kuzma, take a little bit of pressure off of Fox, off of Keegan Murray's a guy who they definitely expect more out of him. You got Sabonis, you got DeRozan, you got Monk. The list goes on. They got a nice squad, so maybe adding a Kuzma to take a little bit of pressure off of the starting five, scoring wise, could help. But we shall see. So, real quick, AB, what do you think, man? The Kings. Are we expecting Lyles and Kevin Huerter, or would you try to ask for Keegan Murray? What would we say?
I don't see why not. There's something harm in asking. But obviously, probably won't get a yes. But again, like it goes back to if no other teams are willing to give up that much draft capital, you go with Kevin Huerter, see what he can do. And Lyles, not that bad because at the end of the day, the situation is Kuzma isn't as worth as he was like not too long ago. Those 2 first-round picks, you just you gotta get what you get. You can't throw a fit, as the saying was when I was growing up.
Oh, my man going old school. I like it, man. Looking at the Kings, Keegan Murray, I think they're going to laugh. I think you definitely ask, but I mean, straight up with Kuz, you're not going to get Keegan, man. I mean, Keegan, like I said, you never know because right now Keegan is a young guy who hasn't, he's got crazy potential, especially at the power forward position. Will they listen? We'll see. How important is that, scoring punch for a playoff push? So you never know what happens in the league. Like I said, you definitely try to acquire young talent. Keegan Murray, you definitely ask. Jonathan Kuminga, you at least have that conversation. Same thing with Moose Moody. Same thing with Cam Whitmore. You at least have the conversation. Then if they hang up, then it is what it is. You go for plan B, plan C, but you at least have that conversation. So, all right, everybody. For the rest of the week, we do have the Chicago Bulls on Friday night. So let me go ahead and pull up the time for that game to let you know the likelihood we will be going live. So it is an 8:00 game. So it's 10:30 recap. So we'll go ahead and go live on Friday night so we can kick off the night right. I will be recording an interview with Stephen Powers on Friday. So that episode, the interview with Stephen Powers will be dropping next week, probably on Monday because we have a game on Sunday. So I will be dropping the Stephen Powers interview on Mondays. Definitely shout out to Stephen Powers. Appreciate him coming on Friday. And then tomorrow, me and AB, we're going to talk about some trades, man. So we're going to look at some trades and do a preview for Friday night's game against the Chicago Bulls.
My favorite time of the year, trades.
Yes, sir. That's my time of the year, man. So definitely looking forward to that. So you guys tune in, man. 7:00 tomorrow. We will be rolling with the trade ideas. So, all right, everybody. You guys have a blessed night. Enjoy your night. Hail to the Wizards and peace.